That would be me.
Look who we're hanging with.
Jason David Frank.
Boom shakalaka.
Please do not change channel.
Hello, World Wide Web. Welcome back to the Hangin With Web Show. I'm GW Pomichter. We are at Space Coast Comic-Con. If you haven't done it yet, go down and hit subscribe. We've got authors, actors, filmmakers, musicians, cosplayers, creative minds of all kinds right here at Space Coast Comic-Con. And we're hanging right now with comic writer Steve Ekstrom.
Hello.
Steve, thanks for hanging with us, man.
Thank you for having me.
Steve's latest project is Terminal Pulp. Is the Terminal Pulp Anthology?
Yes, Terminal Pulp Anthology.
Wow.
Yes, from Imminent Press.
Imminent Press, okay. Steve, how long have you been writing comics, man?
I started breaking into the industry about 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I started out as a journalist with Newsarama.com. I've worked for MTV Geek before it was canceled by Viacom. And I also worked for FreakSugar.com, and I've done some stuff for Fangoria.com. I've had a couple pieces
Fantastic,
put
man.
together through like the LA Times and Yahoo
That's
News
awesome.
and stuff.
So from journalism to comic creation.
Yes.
That's right. Because when you're a journalist, it's just too dark. You have to get some light in your life. So he writes pulp.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. That's correct.
That's fantastic, man.
Thank you.
It does seem like a different kind of journey to most people looking at it. From journalism and really, I tell people all the time, the journalist in me it's a fact teller. The writer in me is a truth teller. And the distinction between the two is a lot, because we talk about in when you're writing something, you're writing a human truth in a fictional environment. When you're covering stories, you're telling all the facts and hoping somebody can glean the truth from it.
Absolutely. Well, luckily I worked in comic book journalism, so I got to write book reviews centered around comics. I got to interview people that were already established talents.
So really doing features.
Right.
Yeah. Which is, by the way, a lot more fun. We get to talk to cool people.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I got to learn how to do things by proxy of someone else, because there is no there are books on how to make comics, but not on the business side of it.
Yeah.
There isn't a way to learn that in college. Yeah. You know, like I have an English degree with a writing degree.
There are certain things that you can't teach.
Nope.
I mean,
it's
the
experience.
reality is experience, life experience, and there's something to be said for raw talent. I mean, some people are more methodical, some people are more creative.
You'd be surprised.
You're
absolutely right.
Teaching creativity is very difficult to do.
Yes.
The imagination fires all on its own.
Absolutely. I
learning
agree.
the skills to put that to good use. Because, I mean, we all sit and daydream, but putting that to good use, that's experience.
I agree.
And difficulty.
I agree 100%.
All right, so we'll talk about your journalism career a little bit, and then we'll lead into the comic, okay? So working in journalism, working around other comic creators and doing those feature stories, what's the kind of that seminal moment for you that said, man, that's it. I'm retiring now. I've made
I got
it.
to interview like Chris Claremont early on in my career and talk about X-Men, and what's so amazing is you're on the phone with these people and they just kind of talk at the length that they want to talk, and you're recording it and you're like, I got to transpose this later. And he just went on, and I was like, this is literally the coolest thing, because I grew up reading this comic book. And so you're talking to these people who are your idols. I did a really cool piece with artist Tim Bradstreet.
Awesome.
It was like this 5-piece, just sprawling career. Look at his 20 years of his career. And we were just on the phone every night like we were best friends. And it was
Doesn't
nice.
Suck.
No, it doesn't suck.
Yeah.
And it led to me meeting people in his studio like Tom Jane and Steve Niles, and getting to network into reviewing movies for them, looking at other projects.
Now, have you always had an interest in working in the industry, or is that something that developed over time?
I started reading comics at a very young age. I started collecting them when I was in elementary school. I had a proclivity for storytelling in high school. I didn't know I was going to become a writer. Writing kind of found me. Mm-hmm. And right when I was graduating college, my dad looked at me and he said, "You have all these comic books, you have a degree, and you're now a writer. let me fly you out to San Diego and let's go to Comic-Con, because he lived out there. And I said, okay. And
as one does.
My dad.
If somebody's going to take you to Comic-Con and they call you and you're like, hey.
My dad took me to Comic-Con at 22, and he like, go shake this guy's hand. Let's get you some business cards made. Like, and I was kind of just out in the blue, nebulous about what I was doing. And luckily, with the advent of the internet, I created a persona on MySpace, where I started reviewing books as like this. You know, they had that thing on YouTube called Ask a Ninja.
Yeah.
I had this thing called the Masked Comic Dork, where it was like this
Nice.
lucha libre guy without a shirt, and he was just yelling about comics. And it didn't do very well, but somebody read my reviews and said, this guy's got the chops. And I started writing for this blog that was linked to Newsarama, and
boom.
like very quickly,
That's fantastic.
it just turned into
That's
me
fantastic.
working for them.
You know, we tell all the young journalists out there on YouTube especially, and I tell them all the time, after a long career in journalism, this is where I landed. This is where I wanted to be. But we were talking in the newsroom over at Florida Today one day, and we were talking about the opportunities for these young guys coming up now
Absolutely.
that we didn't have.
No.
When I came out of college, it was, okay, I'm going to intern for a year for free. I'm going to give a year of my life away, and then pray that the guy over there at that desk dies while I'm here.
So you can fall into his
I
job.
can fall into his job.
Absolutely.
But our kids' generation, they're coming through, and if there's not an internship available for you or whatever, get out there, start writing for a blog.
Make your own way.
Make your own way, and grab a camera, grab your phone, learn how to talk to a camera,
Absolutely.
learn how to do an interview.
Absolutely.
And there's so many opportunities out there. The arts and entertainment paradigm has shifted so much from just 10 years ago. And
Absolutely correct.
we get to benefit from it. I mean, when I went into journalism, I thought to myself, okay, because of the nature of being a writer, I'm going to work for someone for the rest of my life. Because I'm a writer and I have to eat.
Right.
And then 15 years later, I'm like, I can actually do this for me. Whoa.
Well, even that's changed as a journalist with blogging and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This is always one of those things as a guy who went to school. I went to Evil Medical School to become Dr. Evil. Like, people will tell you, well, I write too. And I'm like, did you go to school for it? Well, no, I keep a journal. I'm like, that's not the same thing.
Yeah, it's not the same thing.
And so you get a little chapped, but it's like you laugh about it. And I just say, I do this because I want to eat.
Learn your
I do this.
craft.
Learn your craft.
Learn
Absolutely.
your craft, right?
And
if you can't structure a good sentence, this probably isn't the career field for you.
I actually didn't choose to be a journalist. That was just an avenue inward to what I wanted to do.
I was a writer and going to college, and I didn't want my mom to know that I was going to be a writer. So I said journalism because there's actually a career there. I could still write, just telling someone else's story.
Right.
And so I thought, hey, I won't disappoint my mom that much. And then I said, Mom, I'm going to write a book. And she went, okay. I was like, okay, really? No, honest. And so you just
I think we are all writing a book. I have a book that's not complete.
Yeah. Well, I'm 5 books in, so.
Nice.
Yeah, they already know. They found me out.
Awesome.
They found me out. They're like, oh, you meant that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah. It's nice to be taken seriously.
But it's great now you're into comics. Okay,
Yes.
now let's talk about Terminal Pulp, the Terminal Pulp Anthology.
Okay.
Okay, so it's a collection of pulp stories.
Yes, it's
Okay. Are these all by you, or is it an anthology of multiple writers?
It's going to have about 25 people involved.
Wow.
At the end of it. Right now, we have 4 stories. Well, 4 stories that are published, that are printed through Kickstarter.
Okay.
That we just started. We're sending out the orders as we speak. Like, I've been stuffing envelopes last week. We had some delays, but that were setbacks from the printer and from other
in the
venues.
independent art community, we do our own envelope stuffing.
Yes, every single one.
And phone calling and emailing and writing and drawing, and we do everything.
Everything,
Yes.
everything. And it's been kind of a labor of love because I'm learning new things. I thought I had everything figured out, and then it's like obstacle number 1. 700 obstacles later, I'm still figuring it out. I'm not crazy. I'm not ready to quit. But it's like we stuff envelopes. We do all this stuff. But we've got these 4 stories that are printed. They're basically 16 to 22 pages a piece. In the first 2 issues, we're going to have our Kickstarter for the next 2 issues in a month.
Awesome.
And it features people like Justin Gray from DC Comics, who did like
man.
Hawkman and Jonah Hex. Eric Palicki from Black Mask.
Wow.
He's going to be the backup story in number 3. And number 4, we'll have Vito Del Santi and Matt Brady, who used to be the chief editor-in-chief of Newsarama.com back when they won an Eisner 10 years ago.
Cool.
So we're kind of laying in the talent. We've got artists from all over the world. I've got a guy from Portugal, from Croatia. We've got a tattoo artist that is like an amazing comic book artist who his art style just kind of segs into it, and it's just very unique.
Awesome.
We've got an array of people from all over, and I'm lucky to work with so many talented people.
This is an amazing industry today, because unlike other industries out there, arts and entertainment is one of those places where we all know all boats rise together.
That's right.
It's not our job to jack up our boat. It's our job to change the tide.
That's exactly why we formed Imminent Press. That logic was the whole, iron sharpens iron, rising tides raises all ships, all that stuff.
Right.
We basically all have small audiences, so we decided to collect everybody together. We're going to launch the website imminent.online in about a month. We're going to have 5 regular updating webcomics every week.
Fantastic, man.
And we're going to also do print-on-demand stuff. We're going to have a pilot season where we test comics out to our audience and say, you can vote.
Wow.
We're going to have a lot of content that's going to start pouring in. Everybody's like their own unique vendor under our brand. So like you can buy shirts from one guy's comic on his links, or shirts or whatever from somebody else.
But it's about building community.
Right.
You're building a community.
We are going to have a sprawling community space.
That is fantastic.
With probably roughly 15 to 25 creators on it.
That's amazing. We're going to drop those links in our description because Sage is going to stalk you.
Stalk away.
It's like that's what she does. Where are you going to be from here? Where are you headed next?
I am going to be at Tampa Bay MegaCon.
Awesome.
In 2 weeks, and then after that, I'm not sure yet. Like we're kind of.
He's got all this creativity.
This fell into my lap this weekend. I'm friends with a cosplayer who cosplays as my character in my comic.
That's awesome.
And that's kind of neat.
That's just
it's really
moment,
weird.
Right?
Yeah,
Isn't
yeah.
that cool?
Yes.
You're like, hey, I wrote this character, and somebody's like, yes, I know. Look.
It's bizarre, and she dressed up, and we took a print of it and stuff.
That is amazing.
And so we'll be doing that in 2 weeks, and then we're kind of planning out from there.
Wow, that is amazing, man. We've got to wrap it up. We're going to drop links down below so you can find Steve Ekstrom online and Terminal Pulp and the Terminal Pulp Anthology and other works from. Wait a minute. Nope, I don't remember it. Never mind. You tell them.
Imminent Press.
Imminent Press. Thank you very much. We're going to have other links for Imminent Press down below so you can find all of their work coming up and see that amazing community that they're building. That's what this place is all about, guys. We're going to say thank you to our partners and friends at Something Unique Magazine, Space Coast Comics, Famous Faces and Funnies, Off the Chain Radio with author Yvonne Mason, our great friends at Pound the Grape. If you ever want to sit down and write or draw, come over to Melbourne, sit and have a glass of wine. They'll try to give you more than one of those. But you'll have a couple, and believe me, the writing doesn't get better, but you think it does.
I'm all in.
That's right. There you go. And our great friends at Embellish Effects in Orlando, Florida. Thank you all for supporting the show. Thank you guys for tuning in. Remember, log on, tune in, and see who we're